Welcome to This Explainer. Okay, I want you to start by just taking a deep breath. Just imagine, for a second, a completely silent night.
The world is just completely asleep. The busy streets are empty, maybe there's a soft desert wind moving gently through the darkness, and maybe, just maybe, off in the distance you can hear the faint echoing sound of the Adhan. Just feel the profound weight of that earthly silence for a moment. Because in that grounded, deeply quiet space, there's one verse from the heavens that shines brighter than literally all the stars above. It's a verse that carries such immense celestial weight. It actually humbles tyrants, it calms the most deeply anxious hearts, and it serves as this ultimate, impenetrable shield.
So let's dive right into this. To truly understand what we're talking about today, we have to start by asking a core question. Out of all the magnificent chapters, all the profound stories, and the divine laws, what is the single greatest verse in the entire Quran? Well, for Muslims worldwide, the answer is historically and theologically undisputed. It is the 255th verse of Surah Al-Baqarah, famously known to us as Ayatul Kursi.
And the Prophet Muhammad himself actually highlighted its absolute supremacy. When affirming it as the greatest verse in the Book of Allah, he shared this just breathtaking image. He said, "This ayah has a tongue and two lips with which she praises the king next to the leg of the throne." Now really think about why that's so incredibly impactful. It completely elevates the verse from just being, mere ink on a page to a living, breathing spiritual companion. It's this active entity constantly praising the Creator. And because of this unparalleled living status, it holds the supreme rank of the crown verse in Islamic tradition.
And you know what's fascinating? The structure of this verse is just as majestic as its meaning. It's perfectly composed of 10 symmetrical Arabic sentences. But what does that symmetry actually mean for us? Well, in this single beautiful verse, the absolute core of Islamic theology, Tawheed, or divine oneness, is completely encapsulated. It acts like a perfectly balanced architectural structure of faith. It's truly a masterpiece of language that alternates between affirming God's perfect, limitless attributes and completely negating any possible human-like imperfections. Basically, it tells us exactly who is in charge.
Now we move to the attributes of the divine, ascending to the cosmic level. Now what's really interesting here is how the verse takes our minds on this incredible journey, straight from our earthly reality right up to the cosmic level. And it starts with the primary attributes of God. The very first core attribute mentioned is Al-Hayy, the ever-living. This means possessing perfect, intrinsic, and eternal life without any beginning or end. Now, I want you to contrast that with our own human fragility. We require constant upkeep, right? Food, water, oxygen, sleep, just to survive a single day. Our lives are temporary and entirely dependent on outside forces. But God's life is the ultimate source of all being. It requires absolutely nothing. He is completely independent, never born, and never dying.
And immediately paired with that is Al-Qayyum, the sustainer, or the self-subsisting. Now this is where things get truly mind-bending. This means that by him, all other existence is maintained and protected. Allah actively sustains the entire cosmos at every single instant. Think about the spinning of massive, distant galaxies, all the way down to the microscopic beating of your own heart right now. None of it exists for a millisecond without his active, continuous command and care. Literally, if Al-Qayyum were to stop sustaining the universe for even a fraction of a millisecond, reality itself would collapse. That is the sheer magnitude of the sustainer.
So this brings us to a really fascinating contrast between our human vulnerability and divine vigilance. Look, as humans, no matter how strong or hypervigilant we try to be, we're subject to fatigue. We get drowsy, our attention slips, and eventually we just have to surrender our consciousness to sleep. But the verse boldly declares about the divine, neither slumber nor sleep overtakes him. Think about how incredibly comforting it is to know that when we are completely unconscious and utterly defenseless in our beds, the entity running the universe is wide awake. The Creator never abandons his creation, not even for a blinking moment.
And this conceptual reality builds right into the physical scale of God's dominion. The verse mentions his kursi, which translates literally to footstool or throne. But this represents a vast unseen reality signifying the unfathomable scale of Allah's knowledge, authority, and absolute rule over creation. I want you to actually physically imagine this for a second. Picture a vast, endless desert stretching out in every direction as far as the eye can see. Got it? Now picture a tiny single iron ring tossed into that sand. That tiny ring is our entire physical universe, all the infinite space and billions of stars compared to the staggering majesty of this throne.
And this brilliantly illustrates the final theological point of the verse, and the preservation of both does not tire him, for he is the highest, the greatest. Infinite scale does not equate to infinite effort for the divine. Managing this unfathomable cosmos is completely, absolutely effortless for him. Understanding this concept really shifts our entire perspective. It leaves the human ego completely humbled and anchors our minds to the ultimate, unmatched reality of the Creator. He doesn't struggle, he doesn't tire.
Which brings us to our next section, the ultimate protective shield.
Let's move to how this builds into something super practical. Because Ayatul Kursi isn't just about high-level cosmic theology. It's deeply, deeply practical for your everyday life. Once you understand the immense power we just described, you realize exactly why this verse acts as the ultimate protective shield. The authentic Islamic traditions don't just list random times to recite it. They actually frame it as a daily life cycle of protection. Think about it. Leaving your home is stepping into the unknown, so you recite it to secure your family and property. During moments of intense anxiety, you recite it to instantly calm your heart. And crucially, before going to sleep at night, when we surrender our consciousness and are at our absolute most vulnerable, this verse bridges that gap and acts as literal spiritual armor.
And the profound weight of making this a daily habit simply cannot be overstated. The Prophet Muhammad stated something incredibly powerful here. He said, "Whoever recites Ayatul Kursi after every obligatory prayer, nothing stands between them and paradise except death." Just let the weight of that guarantee sink in for a moment. Nothing stands between them and paradise except death. That is an immense, eternal reward promised to those who consistently anchor their day with the remembrance of this specific magnificent verse.
To prove this, there's actually a really captivating historical account that perfectly demonstrates this protective power. Picture the companion Abu Huraira, standing all alone, guarding the community's charity wealth during the quiet nights of Ramadan. For 2 nights in a row, he catches a thief trying to steal the food, but out of mercy he lets him go. On the 3rd night, cornered and desperate, the thief begs for his freedom and offers a grand secret in exchange. Imagine Abu Huraira waiting in the dark for this revelation. The secret? Reciting Ayatul Kursi before bed brings a guardian angel sent directly by Allah, ensuring no devil can come anywhere near you until morning. And when Abu Huraira reported this incredible encounter, the Prophet confirmed that the thief, who was actually Satan himself in disguise, spoke the absolute truth. It is literally an impenetrable spiritual armor against the unseen evils of the world.
And finally, let's move to a final emotional reflection.
So let's bring this all together. Because beyond the massive theology and beyond the daily protection, this verse creates an incredibly intimate space for the soul. We live in a fast-paced modern world, right? It's filled with anxiety, stress, and constant uncertainty. But when the world feels impossibly heavy and fear creeps into your heart, reciting Ayatul Kursi is a direct, real-time anchor. It reminds you that you are never alone. Every single hardship, every tear, every unknown tomorrow, and every tiny personal struggle is under the complete control of the Sustainer. The exact same cosmic power that holds the galaxies together is actively watching over you.
There's a deeply resonant, mystical insight from the Sufi tradition that I think captures this beautifully. When your gaze is on the king, it matters not if you are standing on earth or seated on the throne. Think about what it really means to have your gaze on the king. So the crucial point is, it's all about perspective. When you realize the unimaginable scale of this Sustainer, suddenly a bad day at work, a financial stressor, or social anxiety just shrinks in magnitude. Our earthly struggles and our deepest fears completely diminish when we focus our spiritual gaze on the eternal, effortless majesty of the Creator.
Which brings us to a final, provocative question for you to reflect on as we close out this explainer. Will you let the greatest verse of the Quran illuminate the darkness of your silent night? Will you allow its profound meanings to become your daily shield, your anchor, and your ultimate source of peace in this temporary world?
Thank you so much for joining me in this explainer today. Assalamu alaikum wa rahmatullah wa barakatuh. May the peace, mercy, and blessings of Allah be upon you. If this exploration of Ayatul Kursi touched your heart and you want to continue uncovering the profound depths of Islamic teachings with us, please make sure to subscribe to the Islamic Guidance Hub YouTube channel. See you next time.